Welcome to an emotional journey back in time. Today we will turn the pages of a fiery summer in Mexico in 1970, where England, the reigning world champions at the time, wrote an epic poem that was both heroic and tragic. In the summer of 1970, the England team, also known as the Three Lions, marched to Mexico as the kings of world football. Under the scorching Central American sun and harsh altitude, they brought with them a generation of players who were considered to be even more talented and complete than the squad that won the title in 1966. With a scientific, yet no less gallant style of counter-attacking defense, they were expected to successfully defend the Golden Goddess Cup. But football, like life, always contains cruel turns. The bitter 2-3 defeat to West Germany in the quarter-finals, after leading by 2 goals, not only ended a dynasty, but also closed the door to the youth of many people. More than half a century has passed since that Mexican summer. Time has covered the black and white film with dust and also carved the lives of the heroes of the past with the scars of fate. Some became billionaires, some lived in seclusion, and some passed away with endless regret. Now let's listen to the real-life stories of those boys behind the glory of the football field. Gordon Banks, who was in goal that year, was 32. At Mexico 70, Banks was more than just a goalkeeper. He was a symbol of invulnerability. His incredible save from a Pele header in the group stage is still hailed as the greatest save of the century, a moment when the laws of physics seemed to bend before human reflexes. His surprise absence from the fateful quarter-final due to food poisoning is widely considered to be the biggest reason for England's defeat. Away from the goal, Gordon Banks' life is a story of extraordinary determination. Just 2 years after his glory and failure in Mexico, a terrible car accident in 1972 robbed him of his right eye, forcing the legendary goalkeeper to retire from top-level football while still in his prime. But Banks did not let the tragedy overwhelm him. He continued to play football in the United States, with one eye still inspiring with optimism and humility. He lived a simple life, away from the noise, devoting his time to charity activities and supporting cancer patients. He always appeared with a gentle smile, never blaming fate for taking away his eyes. However, the journey of the old guard also had to stop. On February 12, 2019, Gordon Banks passed away in his sleep at the age of 81 after a period of fighting kidney cancer. His departure made the whole football world mourn, not only because of his talent, but also because of the noble character of a gentleman in the goal. "29-year-old Captain Bobby Moore. In Mexico, Moore was still a rock, the embodiment of composure and class. His perfect tackle on Brazil's Jairzinho is still considered a textbook in the art of defending. Moore didn't just play football. He conducted the orchestra with the air of a gentleman. Moore's off-field life, however, was not as smooth as his playing career. Just before the 1970 World Cup, he was wrongly arrested in Bogota for allegedly stealing a bracelet, a scandal that was later proven to be false, but left a lasting psychological scar. After retiring, Moore faced numerous difficulties. He was not considered a coach or football ambassador, something a legend like him deserved. He endured years of business failures and a broken marriage, struggling to find his place in a rapidly changing football world. Yet Moore remained polite, never complaining about the unfairness of the times. But the greatest tragedy was yet to come. On 24th of February 1993, Bobby Moore died at the age of 51 from bowel cancer. The death at such a young age of the greatest captain in English football history was a huge shock, leaving behind lingering regrets about the way the country's football system treated him in his final years. At 32, Bobby Charlton was the heart and the beating heart of England in 1970. Coach Alf Ramsey's withdrawal of him, with England leading West Germany 2-1, was seen as the turning point in the game. Charlton left the pitch as a living legend, a man who had experienced both the glory and tragedy of the Munich air disaster in 1958. After Mexico 70, Charlton retired from the team and continued to contribute to Manchester United before retiring. His life after that was a model of a global football ambassador. He was knighted, traveled the world to promote the king's sport and run charity funds. Charlton always appeared with a neat appearance, characteristic combed hair, and humility. He was a bridge between the glorious past and the present. However, in the last years of his life, fate teased this great man. He had to fight dementia, a disease that took away his memories of his old teammates and the glories of the past. And then one day, in October 2023, Sir Bobby Charlton breathed his last at the age of 86 due to complications from old age and a fall at a nursing home. He left taking with him a golden era of English football, leaving behind endless grief for fans around the world. The story of Peter Bonetti, the 28-year-old reserve goalkeeper, is one of the saddest. Trusted to start the quarter-final against West Germany when Banks was ill, Bonetti faced tremendous pressure. The goals conceded that day made him a sinner in the eyes of the British media and fans for decades, the life of the Black Cat. Bonetti's nickname after that match was a long journey to find peace in the midst of a storm of criticism. Although he was a Chelsea legend with nearly 730 appearances, the ghost of Mexico 70 still haunted him. Bonetti chose to live a private life. He worked as a postman on a small island in Scotland to find peace away from the spotlight. He was a gentleman, always patient, and never publicly blamed those who blamed him. It took many years for people to begin to look at him more fairly, that the failure that year was the fault of the whole system, not just the hands of the stuntman. On April 12, 2020, Peter Bonetti passed away at the age of 78 after a long battle with illness. He left carrying the sadness of an untimely hero. But in the hearts of Chelsea fans, he will forever be an immortal legend. Francis Lee, 26, is one of England's most dynamic attackers at the tournament. But Lee's story has taken a different, brighter turn than many of his teammates. After retiring, Francis Lee proved that footballers can also be great businessmen. He founded a toilet paper company and became a millionaire, a real paper king. He also returned to be the chairman of his old club Manchester City in the 90s. His life is a testament to dynamism, acumen, and complete success both on and off the field. However, the law of birth, aging, sickness, and death spares no one. Francis Lee passed away on October 2, 1923 at the age of 79 after a long battle with lung cancer. He left behind a legacy of a well-rounded individual who lived a colorful life. Terry Cooper, a 25-year-old left-back, was one of England's brightest stars at the 1970 World Cup. He started all 4 games, impressing with his tireless attacking and defensive abilities and his superb individual technique. Cooper redefined the role of an attacking fullback at the time. After a glittering playing career at Leeds United, Cooper moved into coaching and had long spells with clubs such as Bristol City and Exeter City. He is a dedicated footballer, always keeping the passion alive, no matter what position he holds. His personal life is quiet. He is respected for his professionalism and straightforward personality. However, on July 31, 2021, Terry Cooper breathed his last at the age of 77. His passing continued the sad days of Leeds and England legends when the golden generation of that year left this world one after another in a short period of time. Martin Peters, 26, who scored the second goal against West Germany, was described as 10 years ahead of his time thanks to his tactical acumen. He was the perfect fit for England's style of play. After retiring, Peters chose a rather private life. He worked in the insurance industry away from the media spotlight. He was a typical family man, devoted and responsible. However, in his final years, he could not escape the harshness of illness. Peters silently fought Alzheimer's disease, gradually forgetting his glorious past. On December 21, 2019, Martin Peters died in his sleep at the age of 76. His passing, along with that of his comrades, is a sad reminder of the fragility of human memory. even of those who made history. Jack Charlton, brother of Bobby Charlton. At 35 in Mexico 70, Big Jack was the veteran, the old guard beside the flamboyant Bobby Moore. Tall and lanky with a hard-nosed and pragmatic style of play, Jack was the perfect complement to Moore's flair. He played not with his feet, but with a cool head and a steely spirit. After retiring from his playing career, Jack Charlton's life took a new and equally brilliant turn coaching. He became Saint Jack in the eyes of the Irish people when he led the national team to the Euro and World Cup for the first time, turning them into a formidable force. Off the field, Jack was a man of nature, loved fishing, and the rustic life had a straightforward and frank personality, sometimes completely opposite to his quiet younger brother Bobby. However, in the last years of his life, the giant could not overcome the law of time. He was diagnosed with lymphoma and dementia. On July 10, 2020, Jack Charlton passed away peacefully at home at the age of 85. His passing just months after the deaths of two other teammates cast a pall over English football in a pandemic year, leaving behind a mourning for a great personality, a man who lived his life to the fullest, with passion. Colin Bell, the 24-year-old midfielder for Manchester City, has been nicknamed Nijinsky, after a legendary racehorse for his incredible stamina. In Mexico, he replaced Bobby Charlton against Brazil and helped England get back into the game, almost making it happen. Bell is a rare all-round player. However, Bell's career was cut short in 1975, when he was just 29, by a horrific knee injury suffered by Manchester United's Martin Buchan. He never returned to the top. Away from the pitch, Bell chose a life of seclusion, away from the media. He worked as an ambassador for Manchester City, living a modest and quiet life. Although a stand at the Etihad Stadium was named after him, Bell always seemed shy of the adulation. On January 5, 2021, after a short illness, Colin Bell passed away at the age of 74. He left with the regret of a natural talent crushed by injury. But his legacy of dedication and loyalty will live on forever. Alan Ball, the 25-year-old midfielder with the flaming red hair and trademark low socks, is England's perpetual motion machine. Energetic, passionate, and never backing down, Ball is the man who links the team's play. After a glittering playing career, Ball moved into coaching with many ups and downs at clubs such as Manchester City and Southampton. His personal life was filled with love for his family. He was an emotional person, always cherishing the memories of the 1966 championship and the friendship with his former teammates. Ball was known as a family man, loving his wife and children and having a great passion for taking care of his home and garden. However, that passion was suddenly and painfully extinguished. On April 25, 2007, Alan Ball died at home after suffering a heart attack while trying to put out a small fire in his garden to protect his dogs. He passed away at the age of 61, a tragic ending, but also a true reflection of the man always fighting and protecting what he loved until his last breath. Peter Osgood, a handsome and talented 23-year-old striker, arrived in Mexico as a new hope. However, his romantic style did not please coach Alf Ramsey, forcing him to play a supporting role. Osgood was the embodiment of gallantry, a true playboy of English football in the 1970s. Osgood's life thereafter was one of rock stardom. He was a Chelsea icon with a statue outside the stadium. Osgood ran pubs, attended media events, and was the center of attention. He lived a free and easy life and was revered as a living saint by his fans in London. But all good things come to an end, and for Osgood, it ended too soon. On March 1, 2006, while attending the funeral of a relative, Peter Osgood suddenly collapsed from a heart attack and died shortly after, at the age of 59. The passing of the king right at a funeral was an irony of fate, leaving behind endless grief for those who loved his poetic playing style. Jeff Hurst, 28, is the only player to score a hat trick in a World Cup final until 2022. At Mexico 70, he was still the main striker. Unlike many of his ill-fated teammates, Sir Geoff Hurst was fortunate to have a peaceful and healthy post-career life. He became a successful businessman, a commentator, and a prestigious representative. He witnessed the passing of each of his teammates and brothers in the legendary squad of the past. Today, at the age of over 80, Geoff Hurst is still lucid and actively participates in social activities. He has become the keeper of memories, the last living witness of the deceased legends, telling their stories to future generations so that the halo of that year will never fade. Finally, let's talk about Alan Clark, the 23-year-old striker who scored the only goal from the penalty spot in England's group stage win over Czechoslovakia. Nicknamed Sniffer, Clark has a fearsome ability to position himself and finish with a coolness that is unnerving. After his glory with Leeds United, Clark spent his coaching career and then retired. Unlike many of his teammates who passed away due to illness or accident, Alan Clark was fortunate to have a peaceful old age. He lived in Yorkshire, away from the noise of modern football, enjoying the joy of his children and grandchildren. He occasionally appeared at Leeds United's anniversary events with a leisurely and carefree demeanor. Today, at the age of 79, Alan Clark is still there, one of the few living witnesses of the 1970 squad. He is like a lasting link between the past and the present, quietly observing the changing times and preserving memories of a glorious era of English football. Emlyn Hughes, a 22-year-old full of energy, did not get to play at Mexico 70, but learned a lot to later become the legendary captain of Liverpool. Nicknamed Crazy Horse, Hughes was famous for his brave runs and boundless optimism. After retiring, Hughes became a beloved television star in Britain, especially as captain of the team on the show, A Question of Sport. His bright smile, booming voice, and warm hugs became his trademark. He lived a vibrant life full of laughter and always brought joy to everyone around him. But fate was too cruel to that energetic man. Emlyn Hughes was discovered to have a brain tumor and his health declined rapidly. He passed away on November 9, 2004, at the age of only 57. The death of Crazy Horse at such a young age shocked the whole of England, mourning a smile that had faded too soon. Nobby Stiles, the defensive midfielder with his distinctive missing teeth and thick glasses. Although Stiles did not play as much at Mexico 70 as he did in 1966, due to injury, his fiery fighting spirit was still the moral support for the whole team. On the field, he was a butcher that terrified the opponents. But in real life, Stiles was an extremely gentle and warm man. Stiles' post-retirement life was full of ups and downs. He went through financial hardships to the point of having to sell his precious World Cup medal to support his family. He spent most of his time training young players at Manchester United, quietly contributing to the creation of the famous Class of '92 of Beckham, Scholes, and Giggs. He lived a simple, humble life and always smiled toothlessly whenever someone mentioned the past. But then, the old headbutts and collisions came back to bite him. Stiles suffered from prostate cancer and terminal dementia. On October 30, 2020, Nobby Stiles passed away at the age of 78. He passed away surrounded by his family, ending the life of a brave warrior who sacrificed everything, including his health, for the glory of his country. Norman Hunter, nicknamed Bites Your Legs, was one of the toughest defenders in history. In Mexico, he came on as a substitute in the fateful quarter-final against West Germany. His hesitation before Germany scored the equalizer to make it 2-2 remains a matter of controversy, one that Hunter carried with him for the rest of his life. Off the pitch, Hunter is an immortal legend of Leeds United. Unlike his fierce appearance on the pitch in real life, he is a gentleman, humorous, and a popular speaker at dinner parties. He always faces criticism of his violent playing style or mistakes in the past with a receptive attitude and a smile. Hunter lives happily with his family and still regularly visits Ellen Road to cheer on his old team. However, tragedy struck suddenly and cruelly. In April 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic was at its peak, Norman Hunter succumbed to the virus. He died on April 17, 2020, at the age of 76. His sudden passing was a huge shock, a painful reminder of the fragility of human life in the face of global disaster. Jeff Astle, the 28-year-old striker who came off the bench, is remembered for his missed chance against Brazil. But few know that his fate was written by his own style of play. At West Bromwich Albion, Astle was revered as the king for his superb heading ability. But after retiring, his life gradually sank into the darkness of forgetfulness and illness. Astle began to show strange symptoms, memory loss and cognitive decline at a young age. He could not remember that he was once a famous football player. His family had to go through painful years, watching their once strong husband and father gradually wither away. On January 19, 2002, Jeff Astle died at the age of 59. The autopsy results shocked the world. His brain had suffered severe damage, similar to that of a boxer, the result of repeatedly heading heavy leather balls. His death revolutionized the understanding of football concussion, CTE, making him a martyr for the safety of future generations of players.